Looking for simple ideas to manage your life and business? You're in the right place. Here you'll find realistic tips and ideas to tame your task list in easy ways. I'm your host, Amy Michaels. Let's get started together with today's episode of the Tame Your Task List podcast. Hi, friend. Today we're going to talk about how to organize your task list versus your projects. Because when we put them together on the same list, it's a really great recipe for overwhelm, and I don't want that for you. So let's talk about how we can separate those out to increase that simplicity in our life, which us allows to focus more on what matters most to us. Years ago, when I had an idea, it automatically went on my task list. And my task list suddenly became pages and pages long until I developed the Tame Your Task List system, which, by the way, if you haven't registered for that free gift, it's a very, very short mini course. It's like 15 minutes or less. Please register for that below. I really want everyone to have access to that. But before I developed that system, I used to put all of my tasks and my projects on the same sheet of paper. And I kept having to reorganize my task list because I would finish all but about 2 or 3 things on one page, and it would drive me crazy. I'd have to flip to the next page, and I had 3 and 4 pages back and forth, and it just became overwhelming and daunting. And I didn't feel like I ever was going to get my task list finished. Now, what I have finally figured out is if it's a project, meaning it's something that has multiple steps to complete, or if it takes more than 15 minutes, I consider that to be a project. Now, I came up with the 15-minute rule just for my own family's dynamic that if I can find 15 minutes, I can usually check through 2 or 3 things on my task list pretty quickly. But if it takes more than that, it's highly likely because of the age of my kids that I'm going to get interrupted. And that means it's going to take even longer than I expected. So for me, I keep all of those things that are going to take longer than 15 minutes on a project list. If it has multiple steps, it automatically goes over there. If I have to gather supplies or prep things or set up something ahead of time, it's definitely going on my project list. And even further than that, what I have found is that I have to be in a different state of mind to work on these quick tasks versus tackling a project. For example, if my projects are more creative, then I need to be in a creative headspace for me to really enjoy that project. Otherwise, it feels daunting and I'm really regretting that I committed to that project. And if it's a task that I can do really quickly, then it feels like that when the kids are watching their shows or if everybody's just playing quietly, that is a great time for me just to steal away 5 or 10 minutes and see if I can check off 2 or 3 things from my task list. By separating out our task and our projects, it sets us up to be more successful right away because we get in our mind that tasks don't take very long. And remember, we're only putting things that we're fully committed to doing on our task list versus a project is something that is multi-steps and that we need to maybe prepare for or that takes a bigger chunk of time or that we need to have a certain mindset to do. And so we looked at our schedules to think about windows of opportunity. When would be a good time to do tasks versus when is a good time to do projects? Now, if you have not listened to my episode about the perhaps list, that is one of my favorite ways to reduce task list and project clutter. So I will say that you can have a perhaps list for projects that you're considering doing, but you aren't ready to fully commit to taking on right now. Another benefit of using a separate list for tasks versus projects is that whenever you're planning out your schedule, you can reserve a block of time each week or each month to work on these projects that are most important to you. Now, I have a really cool episode about schedules that stick, 5 reasons that they fail and what to do instead. So be sure and check that out very soon. In fact, if you haven't subscribed to my email newsletter, then be sure and do that so I can send you a link as well. And now it is your accountability action step time. Over here, we know that it's one thing to listen to great ideas, but I want you to be inspired to take action. And having accountability is one of the most responsible things that you can do to actually start making those changes. So I'm going to offer you some accountability right now. I would like to know when you have taken your task list and separated your projects out into a separate list. Let us know how that feels to have them separated in the comments below, and then we'll respond back with a little bit of encouragement to each of your comments. I hope this has really been helpful to you to increase your focus and how to understand a better way to manage your task versus your projects. It is truly a game changer to increase your focus and your productivity in the end as well. That's all for this week, but I'm looking forward to talking to you in our next episode. Until then, I'm cheering you on. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the Tame Your Task List podcast. We'd love to encourage you even more to focus your time and energy on what matters most to you in life and business. Connect with us over at tameyourtasklist.com for insights we only share with our email subscribers. We'll see you there.